Good morning, children, and welcome to today's class. Now, yesterday, we had stopped at how to interchange the values from one to the other, how to interchange the concepts. We've done a few examples, and today, I would like to take that topic up again so that you are more familiar, and once you are familiar, then there would be no problem for any time to interchange the concepts from the market price to the factor cost, or for that matter, for any of the other concepts. For that, children, I had given you a chart or a diagram, which I had also shared on the screen, the interrelationship of the concepts. And I have briefly written it here again on the whiteboard. When we want to change from gross to net, what would we do? We would minus depreciation. Depreciation, another word is CFC, consumption of fixed capital. So here I've written from G, if you have to go to N, minus D. Likewise, when from net you want to go back to the gross value, you will add depreciation. You add depreciation, you get back to the gross value. Similarly, the DP, domestic product, and NP, national product. From the domestic, if in the domestic, when we add NFIA, NFIA full form is net factor income from abroad. How do you get net factor income from abroad? Income from abroad minus income to abroad. Income from abroad minus income to abroad. And from national, when we want to come back to the domestic, we would minus NFIA, net factor income from abroad. Then I told you market price to factor cost. How do you change that value? Market price, when you want to go back to FC, that is factor cost, you would minus NIT. And likewise, from factor cost, when you want to go back to MP, you will you would minus the NIT. Market price to the factor cost minus NFIC, and from factor cost to the market price, add the NIT. Okay. Now, these are the concepts. Using these concepts, interchanging concepts, we have 8 aggregates, 4 in the market price and 4 in the factor cost. Like GDP market price, GNP market price, NDP market price, NNP market price. Here are the 4 in the market price. And then we have 4 in the factor cost, the same. That is GDP factor cost, GNP factor cost, NDP factor cost, which is also called domestic income, and NNP factor cost, which is also called national income. Okay. Now, children, 4 and 4 make it 8. 8, and for each of these we have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 8s are 56 formulas. To learn by heart is very, very difficult. But using these basic interrelationship concepts, we can very easily and correctly write down the formulas. I will do a few just now, and I will also give you later to do at home so that you can practice and you can get familiar with how to interchange the different concepts. Now let us take the first one, GDP market price. We want to calculate it from GNP. GNP market price. Can you see? GDP market price, we want to calculate it from GNP market price. Now, how do we change it? Gross is here, gross is here. National is here, domestic is here. From national to domestic, what do we do? Look into your chart. Minus NFIA. Minus NFIA. Then the rest is the same. This is the first one done. GDP when GNP is given. Now, GDP when NDP MP is given. GDP MP when NDP MP is given. NDP MP is given. This is the third one here. I'm taking this with this. That's how we get 7 into 8, 56 formulas we're going to do. Okay. Now, this is net, this is gross. From net to gross, what do? We add depreciation. Okay. This is domestic, the rest are the same. So this is how you would do it. Second one. Third, we want to find GDP with NDP we found NNP. So now GDP market price from NNP market price. GDP market price from NNP market price. Look at it. This is net, this is gross. From net to gross, we will add depreciation. National to domestic minus NFIE. The rest is the same. Okay. So we have done these three. Now we will do these four. GDP market price when GDP factor cost is given. We need to change. GDP is the same. Difference is market price to factor cost. From factor cost to come back to market price, what would we do? We will add NIE. Add NIT. Understood? Likewise, the next, that is GDP market price when GNP factor cost is given. Okay. Gross. So domestic, this is national. From national to domestic, what do we do? Minus NFIA. Now this is market price, this is factor cost. Factor cost to market price, we will add NIT. So using these as the basis for interrelationship, we can change any concept from one to the other. So we have done up to GNP factor cost. We need to do two more. GDP market price when what is given? NDP factor cost. NDP factor cost is given. Okay. Now, from net to gross, we will add depreciation. Domestic, PP, okay. Factor cost to market price. Factor cost to market price, we will add NIT. And the last one, GDP market price when NNP factor cost is given. Net to gross, add depreciation. National to domestic minus NFIA. Factor cost to market price plus NIT. Okay. This is how we have interchanged this value with all of these. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So likewise, we will be doing the next. G and P with all the other 7. Very easy. I will do one more set. Then I will leave it for you to practice so that you get enough of practice, because you have to do about 56. And then I am sure you will have no problem of changing the different concepts with their interrelationships. And the 3, these are the main things to remember. From gross to net minus depreciation, from net to gross plus depreciation. From domestic to the national, you will add NFIA. From the national to the domestic minus NFIA. From market price to factor cost with minus NIT, and from factor cost to NP, you will add NIT. So this was the first set we have done. Now we come to, let's say, I will do the next one. Can I wipe this out? You can always refer back to the video. This part I'm wiping out. This part I have wiped out. Now we take the next one. GNP, second one. GNP market price. When what is given? GDP market price is given. Okay. Gross. This is national, this is domestic. So from domestic to national, how do you go? You simply add plus NFIA. The rest is the same. So the first one is done. Second one, GNP market price. When what is given? NDP. NDP market price is given. When NDP market price is given. This is net, this is gross. From net to gross, what do we do? We add depreciation plus the, this is domestic, this is national. From domestic to national, we will add NFIA. The rest being the same. Okay. Third, GNP market price when NNP market price is given. When NNP market price is given. This is net, this is gross. So from net to gross, what do? We first add depreciation. Net, national, the rest is the same. So those 3 values from here are finished. Now we will take these 4 values, or 4 concepts, sorry. GNP, market price, then GDP, factor cost is given. In GDP, factor cost is given. Gross, domestic to national, we add NFIA. The rest is factor cost to market price. Factor cost to market price, we will add NI. Net indirect taxes. Next, GNP market price. When GNP factor cost is given, here is this part. Okay. Now you see gross, national, What is the difference? This is factor cost, this is market price. So to go back from factor cost to market price, all we have to do is add NI. Okay. The next is GNP, market price, when NDP factor cost is given. Okay. Now you see, from net to gross, what would we do? Add depreciation. From domestic to national plus NFIA, then factor cost to market price plus NIT. So you see, children, using those interrelationship concepts, it becomes so easy to write any formula, change any value. You don't need to learn all these definitions by heart, because if you go to learn, you got to learn 7 into 8, 56. 56 formulas is no easy joke to learn. It is better you understand and know how to derive the formula. Now the last one is left, GNP, market price, when NNP factor cost is given. NNP factor cost is given. How do we do this? This is net, this is gross. From net to gross, what would we do? Plus B from national PP. Factor cost to market price. Factor cost to market price, we will add NI. So you see, there are 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. First, for each, we find out the other. So this is done. The first one, GDP market price, GNP market price is done. Okay. Now, copy this down. This one and this one I will leave for you to practice at home. Now the next one I will be doing to find GDP factor cost with the other concepts. Kindly copy this down. Copy this down. Can we move on to the next? And for that then, I will need to wipe the whiteboard. Should I wipe the whiteboard? Okay. So then I wipe out this part of the whiteboard. Okay. Now children, like I said, I am leaving you to find NDP market price with all the 3 values here and all the 4 values here. I am leaving you to find NNP market price with all the 3 values here and all the 4 values here, 7. Now I am coming directly to GDP factor cost. GDP factor cost, when what is given? Let's take the first one. GDP market price. We have to find this. Gross, no problem. Domestic, P, same. Difference is market price to factor cost. Market price to factor cost, we only have to minus NIE. Second, GDP factor cost when GNP market price is given. Check out gross, gross, national to domestic minus NFIA, market price to factor cost, market price to factor cost minus NIT. It's as simple as that. Okay. Third, GDP factor cost when NDP market price is given. NDP market price is given. Okay, net to gross, net to gross plus D, domestic to domestic is there, P and P is there, market price to factor cost, minus NI. Next, GDP factor cost when NNP market price is given. Okay. Net to gross. We will add depreciation. National to domestic minus NFIA, market price to factor cost minus NIT. Okay. Next, we have finished with these four. Sorry. Now we will take these three values because we are finding out GDP and factor cost. So GDP factor cost is equal to GNP factor cost. Okay. Gross from national to domestic. You will minus NFIA factor cost, the rest is the same. Next, GDP factor cost equal to NDP factor cost. National net to the gross, we will add depreciation. D and D is the same, the rest is all the same. This was GDP at factor cost when NDP at factor cost was given. Now the last one, GDP at factor cost when NNP factor cost is given. Net to gross, we will add D plus D. National to domestic minus NFIA. The rest is the same, factor cost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Completed. So I have done a full complete set for GDP factor cost, taking 4 from here, 3 from here. Simple enough, isn't it, children? This is how we have the interrelationship of different concepts. Simply, this is the basis. And what is the basis? Let me revise once more with you. There are 3 concepts. Gross and net. When we have to convert from gross to net, we will minus depreciation. This I had given you with a screen share as well in yesterday's video. The video had been shared with you. The screen had been shared with you. So if you are unable to look at it from the whiteboard, you can go to the video yesterday, and on the screen sharing part, this is very easily and clearly shown to you. Okay. From gross to net, we simply minus depreciation, and from net back to gross, we add the depreciation. That was the first. The second was domestic to national, domestic product to the national product. From the domestic, if in the domestic we add the net factor income from abroad, we would come to national. And how do we get net factor income from abroad? In my earlier classes, I said net factor income from abroad is equal to income from abroad minus income to abroad. Likewise, when you have to go back from national to the domestic product, you would minus the net factor income from abroad. So net income, factor income from abroad, I'm repeating again, is the difference between income from abroad minus income to abroad. And the third concept or the relationship is how to convert market price to factor cost. Simple. To convert market price to factor cost, we would minus NIT. What is the full form of NIT? Net indirect taxes. And how do we calculate net indirect taxes? It is the difference between IT, that is indirect taxes, minus subsidies. If you have not written it or you have missed out it in the earlier classes, you can write down NIT is equal to IT minus subsidies. IT minus subsidies. This is how you go from market price to factor cost. Similarly, from factor cost to market price, you have to add NIT. You have to add NIT. And I'm repeating again, NIT means net indirect taxes. And sometimes in the numericals, it is given directly NIT, net indirect taxes. Otherwise, in your numericals, you will find you have entries like indirect taxes and you have entries of subsidies. So NIT is calculated as the difference between IT and subsidies. So IT minus subsidies is equal to NIT. Is that clear, children? So now you could safely do the rest. GNP at factor cost. Let me do one more and then I'll leave you to practice at home. Now I'm taking GNP factor cost when GDP market price is given. GNP factor cost when GDP market price is given. First over here. Gross will change. Domestic to national. Domestic to national, we simply add NFIA. Then MP to FC, market price to FC minus NIT. Okay. Second, GNP factor cost when GNP market price is given. Gross, national, everything is same except market price to factor cost. Market price to factor cost, it will be minus NIT. Okay. Third, GNP factor cost when NDP market price is given. Net to gross plus depreciation. Domestic to national plus NFIA. And market price to factor cost minus NIP. Okay. Next, GNP factor cost when NNP market price is given. Net to gross plus D. National PP, MP to FC minus NIT. So we have found GNP factor cost for these four. Now we will find for these three. That is GNP factor cost when GDP factor cost is given. GDP factor cost. Gross, no change. Domestic to national plus NFIA. The rest is the same. Next, GNP factor cost when NDP factor cost is given. NDP factor cost. Net to gross plus D. Domestic to national plus NFIA. Factor cost, same. And the last, GNP factor cost when NNP factor cost is given. So net to gross is plus D. Net to net is okay. The rest is okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for GNP factor cost. Now likewise, you have to do at home 7, 7, 7, 7. These you will find at home. Practice at home so that it becomes a part of you and you will have no problem later on at any stage to remember formulas or to learn by heart, because formulas can be derived very easily using these simple interrelationship concepts. Is that okay? So we will stop till here and we will do some numericals based on these tomorrow morning. So till then, all of you do have a nice and a safe day and keep yourselves stay safe, stay at home.